You're on.
Okay, we'll reopen the meeting again, just for, even though it's not 7 PM, just for some simple, basic housekeeping reports from the superintendent, so he can fill us in what's going on. So we can start off with the basic water and sewer monthly reports. You have them in front of you. George, you can highlight.
I'll start with the water right now. Brian came back, I think it was like 5 weeks he's been out. He's cleared by his doctor and cleared by the treasurer, so he's back to work come Tuesday. So that's nice. Our monthly bacteria samples again came back clean, which is very good. Lori and I had a meeting with Point regarding some software, and you better just elaborate a little bit, Lori, on this, because I'm on something with property information and things like that.
What it will do is, they wanted buy-in from all of the departments to go in on that. It wouldn't cost us anything. How they fund it is by adding $10 to the permit fees, and that $10 goes to Point to pay for this program. We would be able to do permitting through them. It would show, it'd make it easier for the residents. They could go online, they could type in an address, and it will tell them all of the open permits that they have, what stage they're at in the process. It also automates any of the permits. Like right now, anyone that comes to us for a permit, the first thing that we have to do is get a sign off from the treasurer saying that they don't owe any money. That will be all automated, so people would just get an email. People don't have to go around chasing people. They can just sign off on it online.
So we're gonna add, we're gonna add $10 to the permit fee?
It would, yes, add $10, so it's not cutting $10 from it. The permit fees would go up by 10. And it wouldn't be all of the permit fees, just the ones that we issue a permit for. So, you know, like the tie-ins, it would be ones that they have to go through and get the signatures.
That goes right down to the building department and everything, too.
Yes, the
right?
building department would be huge for, and the assessors. I mean, we would be minimal, but
Yeah, it would be minimal.
We want to try to tie in some other things off of this software, maybe to incorporate each property where our services go in, things like that, so it makes it easier for, you know, when you plug in a certain number of property, it'll tell you everything you need to know. So that's something down the line.
Is this something that is basically sealed? It's gonna happen?
no, I think they're still working it out. I know there's a couple of departments that don't want to participate at this point. They don't have a lot of permits, and it's really just within their department. I think the selectmen were one, and I think the town clerk was the other.
The
At
selectmen
this
don't want to
point.
participate?
Not at this point, no. So I don't know, it's not finalized, so they might change their mind.
So it would be helpful on our end.
Who is this coming from?
This is basically the assessors and the building department are the two that would benefit the most from this, because they have so many permits and they're interconnected.
So there's no upfront cost?
No,
To
no,
us.
there's not.
So
No,
it's
just the
foolish.
$10.
It's kind of foolish if you don't participate, if you can get some information out of it.
Customer born.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll make it easier for the residents, that's for sure.
Well, if it'll make it easier for them.
So that's all the info we have right now.
If we could get some, so this is just informational at this point
Right,
then?
the rep from Point came and spoke with us last week. He had been in to speak with Lisa probably like 3 weeks before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we're just waiting on word from the town if they're gonna sign on for it.
Okay, can keep us informed, yeah.
Just a question.
Go ahead, Tom. Yeah.
By changing the fee structure, we don't have to have a public hearing on that?
I would have to find out from the town administrator if we have to. Usually, if you're changing any fees, you do have to have a public hearing on it.
So that means all the fees, even from the building inspector's office, would have to have...
They would have to go up 10.
But they'd have to have a public hearing and everything.
I would believe so, but I will double check that with Greg, make sure.
Yeah, because there's a lot of, that's a big generator of income to those departments, you know?
We're gonna link all this up.
Oh, no.
Using Point to
We'll,
link everything together.
Something to look into. It
Yeah,
was pretty
yeah.
interesting the way the guy was
Yeah.
showing the way.
So we're, at this point, we're just waiting for more information on
Yes.
it? Okay. I'd like to see some information about what specifically it's gonna do before we agree to.
So our fees will go up to pay for
$10.
something we don't need?
It would pay per permit, so it's only the amount, say, we had 5 tie-ins per year, $50 would go to them for that. It's only per permit, not per permit that's pulled at, only ours.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to,
I don't like
Because there
it
are
in-
departments
I-
opting out of it, so it's totally up
I
to
don't like
you.
it in principle, just because, I don't know. I don't know why it's not part of the operating budget. The people will never get the $10 back, is my point. Once that
No.
is paid for, the $10 will be there for perpetuity. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then there'll be another $10, and they won't say, oh, well, we already have the $10 to pay for it.
Yeah, I don't think it will
They're just
ever
gonna
be
keep
paid
it.
for,
Can you-
because I think
can
it
you-
goes
can you-
towards their support for the system.
Yeah.
Usually if you have a software system, we've got some
Yeah,
support
because we
in
use
it.
Point now, we pay them
We pay yearly.
yearly, we pay a
fee.
pretty good fee, Point, for our billing and bookkeeping. That's a once a year.
They are very
Once or
good.
twice a year?
Once a year,
Once a year fee.
yeah.
It's not a
Like I
bad
said,
idea, but we can,
I can
some
see if
more
I can get a
information.
flyer or
See
something
if you can
from
get
him.
some information about
He didn't hand
it.
anything out, so.
Okay.
Doug at service at 32 GNS Drive. I'm taking an excavation safety course on March 19th, Luke and myself in Fitchburg. And asbestos course on March 20th will be Timmy and I, and then Brian and Luke will take it on the 23rd. That's in Foxborough and Framingham. We also, Luke starts his D2 class March 13th, which will be every Wednesday till about June. So that'll be good. Stonkus Hydraulics will be coming up on the 13th to do our regular maintenance on our PRV valves, our pressure reducer valves on Healy Road and on Mill Road and all that. So it's just our annual preventive maintenance. I do have some warrant articles in place for the town meeting, as I discussed at the last meeting.
Yeah,
First,
that's been our list, right?
It's in the
We've all-
packets.
It's in the package. You should all have them in the
Yeah,
packets,
yeah,
yeah.
right, yeah, yeah.
one of them, oh, good, you did change it, okay. The first one's going to be, and I'm assuming at best is what I could get from the guys. They were still trying to get some more information back to me, but one guy was in Florida, but is for a sum of $200,000, and that's going to be from our water retained earnings, and that's going to be the funding the DEP mandated cleaning of both tanks. Doesn't mean they're going to be both this year.
It's 200?
200,000.
It says 100,000.
No, I was changed that. It's 200,000.
I thought we were
Kinda
gonna do
changed
one
on the
this year.
copies we gave.
That's correct. One is going to be done this year, but we're doing both. We're approving for both. In case there's always some flexibility if we want to do it a little in like October or some other crazy thing happens where we have to move it. At least we have the funds and we're ready to do it. But it's scheduled for Bates Tank this year, Dresser Hill Tank second year. And I've got it verbally approved by DEP, but I don't have it in formal writing yet. So I'm waiting on that. But that's what I have right now. Second article is going to be the same thing out of water retained earnings is to,
Can I ask a question on the tanks? It's $200 even? It's kind of weird.
200,000 is, doesn't mean it'll reach 200,000, but we have the available funds if it gets close to
What
200,000.
is the projected?
Around 100,000 to 110,000 per tank. But like I said, it all depends on what they find, it all depends on what they come across. It's subject to changes. I'm trying to get more firm of an idea, but like I said, the guy's been away, and I couldn't get exact. I can only get some verbal, from what they see by the investigation when they were up there doing the inspections and all that kind of thing. So I think 200,000 is a safe bet right now. If it's subject to change and before the article goes in, I can either add to it or whatever, but I
much
want
is
to
a
keep
new
it at that.
tank?
What's that?
How much is a new tank?
A new tank?
Yeah. Talking 2 million, talking $1 million?
I couldn't even fathom a guess right now. And how would you put it? How would you tell? It's
I'm just asking. Where would you?
it's a matter of also timing and amount of cost for engineering, DEP approval. It'd be a delay of a couple of years probably, but I would say quite a lot.
Yeah, we don't need to
Sticker
replace it.
shock.
Yeah, sticker shock.
How about nationwide, how many companies are out there you think that do this?
Right now, there's 2 companies, one being NatGun or D&D and Tanks, the one that built the one up there, and possibly one in Linebrook, Maine. I'm going to send out very shortly some quotes. I've got the guy, Underwater Solutions, who's done all our work, and he knows our tanks, and I'm going to get a quote from him precisely, and from DN Tanks for the other tank up at the hill, the standpipe.
'Cause I just remember like 10 or 15 years ago, we had that company up there with the video camera.
That's Underwater Solutions. They've
And,
always been the one up there doing the
And,
inspections.
I know there are videos somewhere of those tanks from a scuba diver. And I do know as far as the amount of contracting resources out there, very few, because there
That's
was a
correct.
death somewhere with a scuba diver a few years ago in Massachusetts.
Yeah,
Wasn't there in a tank?
yes, Braintree,
Couple of
Very,
years ago.
very risky work,
it is.
you know?
And since they know the tank and everything, it cuts a lot of corners where we can go right to the meat and potatoes and things of what we need. So they're very familiar with both our tanks, especially the Bates tank. But I think as I met with the builder of the Dresser Hill tank, the way to go was with the actual people who built it
Yeah.
and who inspected it and checked it
Yeah.
out. So I'm expecting the quotes anyway, but I pretty much know down who's going to be doing our Bates tank and who's going to be doing our Dresser Hill tank, just by what I can see. So that's what we're going to put in for that. The other one, the next one is going to be, as I told the board, is for the redrilling of Station 3, a new well at Station 3 site, which is an emergency situation. I've already gone through the town administrator about this. I says, we're going with this, with the main driller that we've had, who's done this work all throughout the history of this department, is basically from building of Station 3, Station 6. They have come up with a plan. They know how we can drill a new well near the station, find the aquifer, trying to hit the aquifer, and plummet into the station. It shouldn't be a major cost factor, but, I mean, it's still going to be some money, but it could possibly be done right. It could get us to where I want, asking for in the vicinity of $300,000. And that's a high figure. That's if everything goes wrong and there's all these problems and that, he suspects that 300 will take care of everything. But on the low side, if everything goes right, we get within a few feet of the station, that figure could come right down. It's all a matter of precise positioning.
Right down to what?
Come down to 250, could come down to anything where it's the timing, where they find the exact aquifer, how far from the station, how they're gonna be able to plumb it in. We just don't know until we actually have the test wells done first.
Does that come on a retained earnings too?
Yes, retained earnings, correct. There will be a firm, I rather use the firm that they commonly use, it's the engineering plan, because it has to go through an engineering plan for DEP when you even tap in a new well. He recommended somebody that's very good and a lot cheaper than most. It's somebody out there that he uses a lot. That's up to the board's discretion
We
at
just
the
have to be
time.
careful that stay within
Well, that's the
the
thing.
bidding laws.
Yeah, but like I said, this has already been submitted as an emergency appropriation.
So the DEP will be involved with this?
This BP has to be
Oh,
involved.
they have
in
to
this.
be.
Has to be involved in this. And the engineer has to write up the plan for DEP for this. And I think the one he's got has done this many, many, many times for many, many towns. So they cut right to the nitty-gritty of what has to be done, which is very important. So that would be my appropriation for $300,000 for that project. That's an emergency appropriation, okay? The final one here, for this article here, would be for the sum of $55,000, and that's for the SCADA communication project that we discussed. The full project, everything, including stations, tanks, main station tie-in, and training for how to use the system. It was recommended that $55,000 cover everything if certain things are, needing a little extra here and there, and we should be good with that figure. So that would cover all our communication needs. No more analog system at all.
I've been asking for that for years.
So those will all be coming out of retained earnings, all three of those appropriations. The final one would be on the sewer side. I might as well just mention now while we have the article out, and that's for the sum of $56,900, and that's part of that mandated DEP infiltration inflow study. That's phase two? Phase two. Phase two. That's mandated.
Okay,
We've talked about it, we know it's coming. My question on the 4 articles, do we have to get a letter or anything out to the Capital Improvement Committee or the Finance and Advisory Board prior to town meeting, so they're on?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, it's really clear
They
cut.
meet with you on the articles, don't they?
Huh?
They used to meet.
They
with you
go,
on the articles.
they meet,
Yeah.
they're aware of the articles when they're presented. They go through the articles. Usually, I'll go to one of the meetings,
They used to have a meeting
Capital.
where they call you in and say,
yeah, or
what's
finance,
Yeah.
finance committee goes through them. We usually are there to answer questions, which I'll be there to answer questions if they have questions on it. That's pretty much what happens there.
That's what I'm just getting at, so we should be prepared if we have to be available, just to meet with them and just brief them on what we're talking.
Sure.
Like I said, it's pretty clear-cut stuff. It's not anything that's out of the norm. We've kind of been over this for many months now, and it's something that's really, it's a necessity for the stations as far as communication.
The first one and the last one are maintenance.
Yeah.
That's not a capital
And that's
improvement.
DEP mandated. We have no choice. That's state mandated. So that's clear-cut. The Station 3 is an emergency appropriation. We're on borrowed time with that station, and we can't afford to lose it. So that's a must.
You can hit on that when you talk about your pumpage figures.
Yes,
of What's
yes.
been happening.
The SCADA system is the only one. Should probably check and see if it does have to go to, we do
I have
to
quotes. I have
brief
3
them,
quotes for the SCADA system.
to brief capital improvement.
Yeah, yeah.
Should probably check and make sure.
Now, we know it's coming, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
And these would be approved by you at the time they're approved by the town meeting.
Mhm.
So I'd bring them back to you and get your approvals, and
Okay.
off we go.
Okay, you've got that item 10
Yep.
on your agenda.
Okay, this here, might as well go through right now. I've been telling you guys a discussion about the pumpage issues going on at the 2 stations. Now, as you remember, there are 2 pumping stations operational in this town only. The main station is no longer a adequate pumping station. It has numerous concerns with bacteria. We've had hits and E. coli issues way back with that station. It is a station that's geared for corrosion control, but since we've had all those problems, we've had to shut the station down. It's only used for testing purposes from the ground when we do our raw water test. The other issue is also there's a lot of air forming into the lines in that station, cracks in the pipes from the shallow wells, so we're getting air into the system. We can't even maintain a prime when we take our samples. It's very difficult right now. So with that said, and with the issue with Station 3, just to give you a quick update, Station 3 is pumping probably about 310,000 gallons a minute, 310 gallons per minute, 310 gallons per minute. Station 6 is pumping about 200 gallons per minute, okay? That's pumping both stations every day. One station in lead is the 24-hour station, so that pumps roughly 24 hours a day. Sometimes maybe 23.5, 23.9, but mostly 24 hours. The second station in the second position, which activates when necessary, is probably up in the 18-hour range, okay? Now, you'd say, well, you're still not hitting all 24s, but we're darn close right now. Our average pumping is 560,000 gallons a day. That's the average, okay? I've hit 780. I've hit as low maybe 1 or 2 days as 450, but that's when Nichols is out and there's some bad weather and people aren't using water whatsoever, okay? It's not so much the condition of pumping 24 and 18, but it's also a matter if we have a main break or we have a failure, like the situation with that hydrant over at Ethan Allen. My recovery took almost a week where it shouldn't have, okay? And right now, with 2 or 3 subdivisions approved for, I'm gonna have to put the board, request that the board put on a, I'll call it a temporary moratorium, maybe on a case-by-case basis, because I can't see us having any more approvals for any major subdivisions. And also with the fact that Station 3 is still a well that needs rehab, and we don't know what that final outcome's gonna be with that well, as far as pumpage goes. We could be putting ourselves in a bad position. So I'm asking the board to approve what I'll call a temporary moratorium, and also to review anything on a case-by-case basis for single family or something smaller.
So, but are 2 stations pumping at capacity, or
They're very close to full capacity right now.
what's left, 10% or?
Well, about 10 to 50, maybe 20 at the most, but I need that 20 for a safeguard. I need it because in case I have to recover.
Now, pumping station 3 and 6 are the ones that are working, right?
Correct,
And one has issues.
correct.
Is it the pump or is it the tank that has the issue?
It's the pump that has, it's the well itself that has issue. The well has collapsed.
Okay.
Yeah, the well was sleeved back in 14, like I had, remember I was saying, they put a sleeve down in there, so they actually
The shaft
raised,
was-
the shaft it corroded, it fell on itself.
Yeah.
So all the gravel and everything just went into the well. So they sleeved it, they cleaned it, they sleeved it, okay? But they also had to come up about 10 feet from the original depth. So we always get that sediment and gravel in the filter system in some of our analyzers for like when we do our chlorine. The last repair that was done that I brought before the board was a result of that collapsed well.
So here's my question. You're talking, there's, one of the articles is for a new drilling for well 3, correct?
A brand-new well drilling of a new well for
So-
3.
Would it be more feasible, and could we get more capacity, if we, instead of spending the money on well 3, we spent it on well 1 and drilled a
No.
brand-new well at the
No.
same site as well 1?
Here's the problem with main station well. There's two problems. One is it's a shallow well, and it's surface water influenced, okay, which opens up a whole new Pandora's box. There's mandates and regulations regarding surface water influences on wells. Down the line, I may start researching as far as tapping a new well, but seeing what the mandates, what the regulations, filtration systems, what come into play with that.
Yeah,
But right now, I have a very good shot at hitting the main aquifer that I'm hitting right now with this well, which is the strongest well in town.
3?
3, correct.
All right.
And when I tap that aquifer anywhere around the station, I could easily pipe it right into the station, and we're good to go. Station 6 has a 284,000 a day, 288,000, yeah, or 287,000 a day average that has to be maintained at that average. Can't go higher than that. Not to say we don't at days, but overall for the monthly average, has to keep it within that. So that's another issue that we're up against, where we have to stay within certain parameters of that station because of the static drawdown that happens at that station. The DP monitors that, okay? So Station 3 is unlimited as far as our ability to draw from it, but how much water you're gonna be able, even if I pull it up more, I don't wanna overrun that well and have another problem.
So 1, 2, 4, and 5 stations are all dead?
All dead, all dead,
Dead forever?
dead forever.
Is there a way to re-drill them, or?
Station 4 as well, comes off the same pipe as Station 6, so it's the same well, okay?
Okay.
You could put a new motor in 6, which down the line, I am gonna recommend moving the motor from Station 3 to Station 6 as well, because I won't need that motor anymore in
What
that
about
station.
Station 5?
Station 5 is next to the road and is not
That's right on
legal
the road.
to operate per DEP.
It's
It's
what?
o-
It's not legal to operate, it's close to the road. It was the old mill
It's only,
pumping station.
it's only able to be used, I think, in an extreme.
Not even that.
Not even anymore?
Because it comes off the road, so you got the road influences
It's
for
like
the
10,
well.
10,
They won't allow
15
it.
feet from the road.
Cleanest water going, but they won't allow it.
Those are old pump stations from the mill.
From the
back
mill,
in mills.
correct.
Just
Yeah.
direct to them.
Yep.
You know, turn of the century.
So
That's how
we're,
old they are.
so we're running up the 2 avenues as far as restrictions on 6 and and now with the 3 problem. 3 has to be maintained at a certain pumpage to keep everything going. Without 3, we're dead in the water. We can't maintain the tanks.
Where is pump 6?
Something on New Boston Road, deep in the woods.
In the woods on the right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Bernie's.
I guess what we need to think about is, I agree, we need to fix 3. But if we had 6 wells in time at one time, there was a reason. And I think we need to look for a third solution. And not this year, but strategically look for a third solution, start planning for it. Maybe putting away $100,000 a year, whatever it is. I don't know what the price or cost, whatever it is.
I'm gonna look into 2 things. One, Jay had asked me for some information on the West Dudley area, which I have here, with some added updates of ownerships and stuff of properties there that we originally were looking at, okay? And I won't get into the whole thing of it.
Yeah.
Test wells were done there, some adequate water supply was there at a certain area there, okay? So that's another avenue. Another avenue was, like I said, the main station, if it's even possible, and I don't know if it is yet.
That's number one.
Number one, if there's a way to drill a new well and then see what would that lead to with the DEP.
We had a manganese problem.
That the thing is, no matter what you do there, you're gonna have to do some filtration.
What is,
Where's number one again? Where's number one?
Main
Pump station.
pump station, the High
Right next to the,
Pond.
right next to the
Oh, yeah.
town. Right next to the
Here-
post
here's-
office.
That's indirect influence from High Pond.
I got you.
It's only 30 feet deep wells there, even less.
None of those issues, were they from the septic systems that are now on sewer in that area, no?
No,
Just
no,
some
it was,
other
no, it was mostly overrunning of the system was old, and what happens is when the water started drawing down in the ponds and that, we started sucking in air and the sucking bacteria levels were, the bacteria from the ground was coming into the well, and it was giving us E. coli hits, things like that. So the DEP says, listen, you gotta stop using that well. It's
we can carry that discussion on, since how it's past, just
Okay.
after 7
Yep.
o'clock now.
Yep.
We'll get right to our agenda. Let's go to the acceptance of the February 6th. They're right here somewhere.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes for the February 6th meeting as presented.
Okay, we're all here.
Second that.
Okay, the acceptance for February 6th has been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. We'll accept the February 6th meeting, February 6th minutes. Item 3, J.K. Lane, proposed development, plan approval extension request by John Krasinski. John? Come on up. I think you signed in, huh, John?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember we got paperwork here somewhere
Yep.
on that.
No letter here.
Here it is. There's a
JBN?
JB Ave, going back to April 5th, 2018.
Did you write a new letter, or is that the old one? Oh, they have the old one.
So, John,
April 4th.
I know we talked a year or so ago, and it looks like a 3-acre lot. Was it 5 house lots?
Yeah.
And you haven't done anything in the year. There's an issue there, right? I won't get into it. Planning board, it was never accepted or something like that, or never recorded, you said?
Yeah, I have a plan that was accepted back in the 70s. It needs some, modifications on it.
So you're asking for a 1-year extension
Yes,
on that project?
yep.
Well, here, the disapproval will be valid for 1 year with an expiration date of April 4th, which is next month. So what's the,
So water and sewer, or just?
water and sewer, John, right? Yeah.
That's for 4 houses?
5.
5 house lots. Has there been any movement on developing? Any movement on,
No,
The engineer is working on it?
yeah.
okay. So what,
Oh, it's like we've done on the other, couple of the other jobs, they just asked for an extension while they're working on it. What's the vote of the?
So nothing's really changing, except you're gonna update your plan.
Right.
For the 5 lots. Well, I don't see a problem with that, so
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept it. We give them a year extension.
I just have one question. We have other, and I don't know if I'm proper in raising the question now, so forgive me or correct me if I can or not.
I'll rescind it.
But, sorry,
Well,
thank
we
you. My question's basically this. What have you done in the past year? And the reason I'm asking is not to be disrespectful to you, for lack of a better word, but there's other people who are coming to us, and we just talked about a problem on Mason Road potentially, where you don't have capacity. So, and other people are coming to us. So if there's been progress and you need more time, that's great. But if it's, and this is where I mean, forgive me, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but we've seen in the past in the town that people will get a permit and extend it, or keep it for 10 years, but extend it, and nothing's really happening. They just feel very comfortable having that permit there, just in case they get their ducks in a row and they can finally do something, where other people are in line saying, but I'm ready to go, and they can't. So I think that's a concern. It's been a year. What's been done? Are the plans drawn up? Have you gone to the planning board? Have you gone to the conservation board? What steps have you taken to get down the road to the point where you can execute these permits? If we spent for another year, I just don't want to be back here another year saying, yep, we're still waiting. I need to see progress for me to feel comfortable extending the permit. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, instead of someone,
Well, I
Sitting
think
on it.
the
That's not
problem
you, I
that
would
he's-
ask everybody that same question, so please understand that.
The problem that he's had is it was old business from years ago.
Yeah.
That was acceptable back in the day. So I realized that he's a longtime contractor in town, and he's trying to get it to the point where it's saleable. It's gonna fly for the town, correct?
Right.
But okay, so what steps have been taken, though? Did you meet with the planning board, with the Conservation Committee, with whoever you need to meet to get things moving. And if you had done that, that's great, and I can say, okay, we should extend it. But if nothing's been done, if we're in the same exact position and no meetings have taken place, I'm kind of like, no. I don't want to grant things to anybody that, it's just nice that I have this security blanket and it's holding up production on somebody else's project, I guess. So,
And the plans are at, what the heck, in Southbridge, they're on Elm Street?
the engineering firm,
Yeah.
but have they gone to the planning board? Have they gone to the conservation?
I don't think they did, but they're working on it.
Yeah.
So is it,
Is this his first extension?
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I remember when they came last year.
Yeah, I remember,
Yeah.
too, I'm just concerned because we have a limited capacity, so what, you know,
I mean, I think,
and one of the things that we mentioned, and we have mentioned in several meetings, is people got these permits and they sat there for years, and if there was a capacity issue, you know, somebody ate up that capacity and never did anything with it, and that's a problem for other folks, so, I think we need to consider that when we look at not only this situation, but all situations, so.
I agree, but this is the first extension, so, it's, you know, if somebody comes again and again and again, then you,
Yeah, if this gets to be a reoccurrence every year, then it's like,
This was a different situation with
Yeah.
the land that he has there. I know the area and whatever, so it just didn't fly. So I understand what he's going through. He's trying to make this bird fly. And it's gonna take a little bit of time to go through the engineering with the company in Stockbridge and whatnot. And then he'll have to come back to the planning board and work it out with everyone else, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so, like I said, once again, I'd like to make a motion that we just pass this and we give him an extension for 1 year.
I'll second it.
okay, we have a motion on the board to pass the extension. It's been seconded. Any other further discussion? All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
I'm gonna say no.
So, Tom,
Okay.
did you vote?
yeah, I said yes.
Aye, so,
Yeah,
four in favor. So, John, you have 1 year, and obviously, from just a word of warning, maybe, from what's taking place, maybe that's a good idea. You can't come in and tie up permits year after year after year.
There'll be more
after
scrutiny
year.
as
It's
the
either,
time goes
if
on.
someone wants to do something,
Right,
They
but I
gotta-
mean, that's why we changed,
you
they
know,
weren't paying for the permits
Right,
before.
right.
Now they're paying
That's a
for
good
it.
point.
yeah,
So
You
that's
know,
a
but-
seed holder.
yeah.
You know, when they pay for the permit, that's the seed holder.
Yep.
If you don't use it, you know, if you go buy that fishing license, you don't have to fish. You're still gonna pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep us informed.
You can say,
Just-
you got your
just any
approval,
movement.
we'll get you a letter,
Um,
so you have it for the other departments, but,
One thing I noticed, make sure we check in the future spelling of names. I noticed the last name on this is spelled wrong.
Is this spelled wrong? How do you spell your last
No,
name?
the last name on the CC list on the bottom.
What are you looking at?
I see it. Very good.
I don't
yeah,
see it, so
you know, you got your approval, John, but like I said, maybe.
Nelson's last name is
he- he
No,
some
he at the end
caution
of it?
that,
No,
you
no,
know,
B-U-R.
you heard him talk about his
Okay.
pumpage and everything, and we got this big infiltration and inflow issue coming up. The day might come where the brakes are gonna be put on for everything for a period of time, you know? So it's maybe push the engineer
Yeah. Well,
As much as I can, yeah.
and push the other departments, you know?
Okay.
So we'll get you a letter, okay?
very good. Thank you very
All right.
much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Jesse Road.
Jesse Road,
Forest
Forest Road, Ranger Engineering.
We have in place of Benjamin and Joe today.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Olin Richter. Ben's on vacation and Joe's at another meeting.
Okay.
So we've kind of finalized from the water and sewer departments what we've asked for, and
Yep. Yeah, we just responded to the comments, made some minor changes on the plan. Yeah.
how many houses is it now?
Same amount of houses.
18?
Yep, 18.
And that includes, what, 3 on Jesse Road?
Yeah, there's 3 on Jesse Road.
So 15 off the road.
15 off the road.
I don't know, anybody want to, I just remember from our past conversations, I know you're pumping up the road, going down to the 10-inch
Drive,
line
yeah.
on Alton Drive,
Yeah, we switched it to make, going Alton Drive instead of
instead of going out,
Mason.
because that, like I say, that
I
line's.
think we added a
capacity
hydrant
now.
too to the outs, to the road, to Jesse
Yep.
Road itself.
Yep, we added that to the plan. Hydrant 2, it's in the middle.
Now, during the course of this development, as you guys go along, we'll have representatives from the water and sewer there anyway to, to show you where this should go, what, things like that to use.
Yeah, I think we'll, for the hydrant, it's like we put on the plan, final location is determined by water department and the fire department, so they're gonna be out
Everything
there
is subject
before.
to change sometimes,
Yeah.
and as long as we're there to see, where you're putting it and how, and make
Yeah.
sure it's the right type. Same with all the appliances and the pipes that you use there.
Yeah, material-wise.
Yeah,
Material-wise,
they're
that
gonna
you
be
covered,
out.
you're bedding it, things like that properly, things like that. Just be aware that we did discuss that the tie-in to Mason Road is not going to be open. It's going to be a shut system right now.
Mhm.
Okay, so you'll be feeding from up the hill, from Alton Drive.
Mhm.
But that's gonna be like a 3-way valve system, so you can.
Well, look at the system they have, we'll make it so it
So you can-
accommodates
if
us if you
have
want
to
to shut that
feed or
side.
bypass,
You know,
so, and you'll grid Alton Drive down to Mason Road. Have you reviewed those, George? Have you looked at them?
I've looked at the plan, before, it was a small printed plan, so I couldn't really see too good,
Yeah, I got
but as long, yeah, I can take a look at that one after, a little bit better.
Yeah, if we can have a.
Do we have a
full-size-
copy like that for us, or is that,
No, you can have this copy.
that would be good, 'cause
Yeah, we can
that's,
have a
I like a nice big one.
Yeah.
Full-scale copy at
full-scale
the
copy.
shop.
So this
Mike is,
one- this
Mike
one
is
actually
good
gives you a
with
better
the way you
idea
guys
of
would
where
pump up,
lots are.
so he has no issues with that. Like I said, he'll be involved with it too, as you go along with the plan. When do you plan to kick off this,
When to start building.
the road work and the,
I'm not sure what I'm not sure
okay.
when the start date
This
is.
year?
Yeah, I would assume definitely this year.
So I'll be,
I would assume probably in the spring. Come the spring.
so you'll lay the whole
Yeah.
pipe in, hydrants, all that to first, and then you'll go service house, as you build a house,
Well,
service goes in.
They won't do anything until they pay the fees.
Yeah, but, yeah, but-
They won't do anything until sewer and water fees are paid.
yeah. And when everything's ready to go, that's, everything,
Grading-
the infrastructure will
grading,
start.
drainage,
Yeah.
One house goes in, service will go in,
Utility plan.
that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're gonna have your fee
Hard
for
to see on the small
cutting,
paper.
doing a main,
Yep.
8-inch main, no,
This is
then
big
you're gonna
as
have your
I
house
can print it
fees.
at work.
Yep.
Like you say,
Meters,
Big as I
things
can
like
print it
that,
at
all
work.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we did run some numbers at the time what that approximately came up
Looking on my phone.
to, sewer and water wise. And I don't think we should drag it out and say, okay, here's one more house lot, here's one more dollar. It's all payable once the job starts.
That's it.
No,
It's up front.
You know, we're not in the banking business,
Right,
you know?
yeah. This
It's
is
gonna be
the
grinder
roundabout.
pumps, right?
Yeah, they're gonna be E1s, right?
E1s.
And yeah, they were compatible with the ones that you.
Yeah, and there
He's
was
gonna buy all the pumps plus two?
plus
Those
two.
two.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no problems as far as, like I said, as long as we're there during the course of it and know what's going on, I have no problem.
Yep.
As long as we can keep a full-size blueprint. Yeah, we've been discussing this for a year.
I was gonna say, we've gone over this 3 or 4
Yeah,
times.
yeah, you know, and you met our request when we asked for different items.
So what's the question before us?
Across here.
Just a what, final review?
Final review.
You know, because you have upgraded your blueprints a little bit, right?
Yep.
Oh, it's over there.
Yeah, we added some more like notation about water department coming out and like doing everything beforehand. And then we added the new hydrant and added, there's the laterals going to each lot. We'll allow you to put that in there up the,
Fire
But that's not
department
our,
approved.
that's not our.
Yep.
Yep.
That's not
Yeah,
ours.
because we brought up the idea, we don't want any laterals like in driveways where your curb cock is in the asphalt.
Correct,
Yep.
yes,
Right.
everything is in
You
the
know,
grassy
in the
area.
grass.
yep,
area.
yep.
You
Mm-hmm.
don't want it in a sidewalk, you don't want it
Right.
in the asphalt driveway.
And it's going 10 feet beyond the property line or to the
Yep,
property line? or
yeah, it's 10 feet past the property line.
So what do we need to do tonight?
You're all set with the approval, we just need to
Yeah.
vote on it, it's final.
Make a vote.
Make a vote, final.
I make a motion that we accept, or finalize our permits, and, do we get permits?
Plan approval, yeah.
You have to approve it, and then they'll pay the permit fee per house for
Okay,
water and
then.
sewer.
That we
State
accept the
each.
drawings as shown with the final as-bills will be done when the water and sewer guys go out and make sure that things are in the right place.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the final engineering blueprints for Forest Road, which I think we've discussed. Is there any other discussion amongst everybody? We've kind of hit the highlights. They know their obligations. And like I said, we've been through this 3 or 4 times. So is there anything else to discuss?
Could you repeat that motion one more time? It was to accept the final drawings as shown for water and sewer. Did you have water and sewer in there?
Water and sewer, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. So that'll be good. Leave that, please, leave that
Yep.
blueprint with us.
Definitely.
And we'll be
Put a letter out.
we'll be in touch. We'll get a letter out to the powers to be there. That, also, we will put in that letter, all pertinent fees will be due before work starts. We're not, like I said, we're not gonna bank it and wait 5 years. You know what I mean? Yeah. 3
Yeah, yeah.
houses this year, 2 houses next year. No,
Yeah, I'll follow up for him.
Yeah, it's now or never.
Yeah, it's one and done.
Yeah, one and done.
Okay.
Okay,
Awesome.
very good.
Thank you.
You can leave that for me.
You want to roll it up, or you want to just?
Oh, you can roll it up.
Without tearing it.
I'll tear it. I'll just leave it in the office so we have it.
There you go.
Well, while we're at it, George started discussing it, the water availability, discussion on prioritizing a lot of time and place. We got a pretty good brief in that, you know, you run the numbers, 288 on Station 6. We've gone through 2 major repairs already on Station 3, and we're looking at $300,000. We know we need a well field on the other side of town. We've had some discussions. George has been looking at property sites through the assessor's office on the other side of town. So my feeling is, on the water side, I think we gotta put the brakes on, some form. And on the sewer side, we have to start thinking of putting the brakes on because of these potential projects. And we don't know where we stand on I&I project that we started this spring. We do know that the sewer meters were in certain locations, and they highlighted 2 sections of town, that flow company, right off the bat, that were high priority.
Way off.
And one was up here, right? This part of town?
Right around here.
Up here.
Up the hill,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and the other part was down here.
Right around here and then up around the corner.
Same
Place as it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So I don't know how we want to go about it, but I think we have to have some,
What is the problem with those 2 areas? Just refresh my memory, please. Is it because the pipes go from like 14 to 10 to?
All over the place, and the infiltration of the pipes is immense, which they
So
should
it's
find.
infiltration issues
Yeah.
too there. Okay.
And some of these areas, is, you know, we know how they go, in other areas, we kind of don't know how they go. You know, the records are not kept very well way back when they put these in, especially even on the mill area over here, where these go through backyards and driveways and things like that. But I would say, as far as on the sewer side goes, there should be evaluations done on a case-by-case basis, as far as, you know, when somebody presents something they want it, and do a little research on it and see exactly if we not can handle it, if it's a major thing or a light, you know, small scale type of thing. Water's gonna be a little bit different, that's,
Do we have, are these areas, 25 years ago down there, the fire department stuff, when stuff melted and heavy rains came, there were real issues. I think those have been mitigated, correct me if I'm wrong. And the next problem area they mentioned was coming up the hill here. And in the other area down there.
Yeah.
I assume they're the same two spots, I
Yeah.
haven't changed that much. But are those issues where there's not septic coming out of the ground or anything, right?
I can't tell you that, I don't know on that behalf and how.
Is there big flooding anymore down there in the fire department or low
No,
areas?
we fixed
No, it comes, you'd have to have torrential type of rain for
Yeah.
it to even come up a little bit, so it's a lot better.
I remember, what was it, last year? Last year, might have been 2 years ago, we had a good, strong rain, and there was some flooding there, but it cleared
Quickly.
it cleared within half an
like it
hour.
was 20 years
Within
ago.
half an hour, it cleared up, as soon as the
Do you-
rain stopped coming and,
Well-
it ran off.
What you're thinking about then, was it actually coming out of the manholes like it did in the past?
The one right next to the entrance to the,
Fire station.
no, the post office driveway, there was one where water was
By
coming out.
Marty's.
We used to park the sewer truck on top of it on rainy
So in other words-
days. We don't have to do that.
Severe
but-
runoff, severe melt,
But
severe rain.
that finished real quick. That was just
Yeah.
because it was a
And that
a real heavy
That was the
storm.
exception, not the rule.
You're right.
But that exception,
Right.
I mean, that siphon still has the possibility of not being capable to handle.
But that could be
The flow.
the symptom of the problem coming up the hill, correct?
I don't think
Well,
so.
when you have high groundwater, you're gonna have a lot more infiltration, obviously.
Right.
That line that we're talking about by the post office doesn't come this way. It goes behind Marty's
Well, that's a good point.
and shoots that way.
Plus you got Potash Brook out there that influences in that area too, behind Marty's and all that. and that
Yeah, but don't
floods.
forget
So the
that's
pipe
still-
coming up the hill doesn't impact down there, are we positive of that?
No, I'm
Right,
not
the-
100% positive of that.
No,
I
that
don't think,
pipe by the post office shoots behind Marty's, goes through the woods and
Prospect Street and all that
across
stuff?
Warsaw Ave, whatever that comes down that way.
It goes through, is that the Grand Trunk thing they used to talk about?
Yep.
But that's still collecting everything on that side of town
Well,
from
that's
Mason
picking up-
Road
It's
up.
pretty wet over
Mason
there.
Road to Nichols College.
Yeah, but that
and
doesn't-
everywhere in
So
between.
the
But
problem
that's not
coming
this side.
up the hill isn't what's causing the problem down at the fire station, is I
Well,
guess.
down at the fire station, that could be backfed both ways, because of the way it lays on a low spot.
it all
And you got
indirectly
the swamp
influences
in
at
there,
one time.
And they had a beaver
Yeah.
dam in there.
Yeah,
There was a big beaver dam in there, and the
Okay.
water was up 3 or 4 feet.
all right.
Yeah, I would say definitely a case-by-case basis on the sewer side. You're not as having an issue as the water side is of that, but like I said, you have to examine it, have an engineer, some look into it too. Sewer department, myself, and
We may have, when we fixed all the area down there, the fire department, years ago, I think they did flow capacity and stuff.
it got better, but I don't think it was at, it
Yeah,
was
but
at,
did they line the pipe?
We
See, I
did
don't
stuff to
know.
line pipes.
I don't remember what,
We did that, right?
Not over there.
no, I don't think,
But the flow study back, I'm talking years when it was just sewer, we fixed that, whatever they called it.
Going under the thing.
Siphon,
siphon.
Yeah, whatever.
Siphon.
Well,
the
at some
siphon.
point in time, the pipe should be lined, because you're paying for all of that
It
ground.
was all, I think it was all with pipe.
Well,
well, that's all gonna
Well,
come
the
out in the
siphon-
study
Yeah,
anyway.
but
The I&I study will
Yeah,
determine
you're
all of
paying
that.
for that water to
We'll
go
find all
through
that.
Webster.
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, we're treating.
The
clean
I&I,
water.
the I&I study will
Define all those.
define all of that.
It's giving us a good guideline on where our trouble spots are, so where we have to look out for, where we're going.
Yep. So and I agree with that. I'm interested if you get your hands on the last one that was done.
Mhm.
And then if we do this one like the DEP's making us, and if they come out the same, point that out to the DEP saying, hey, instead of spending the money on the study, if we would have taken the money and,
In line the pipe.
yeah, maybe
I
the problem
agree with
solved.
you.
But
Okay, so as far as a I'm not ready to vote to put a moratorium in tonight.
No.
But we'll take it under advisement, I guess.
All I'm asking for on the water side is what I call a temporary moratorium, so we review everything that comes before us on a case-by-case basis.
yeah, I'm more.
I'm
concerned
not
with the water.
closing the door on the water, as far as no water, no, I am saying, the brakes, like Jason, the
Okay.
brakes have to go
Yeah, I
on.
think we could limit, we don't wanna.
We don't wanna go crazy, just slow it
Yeah,
down.
We don't wanna, you know.
One or two houses,
80 house
okay, yeah,
development.
exactly.
Okay,
We've already committed some divisions in that, we gotta let things play out a little bit, well, play out,
absolutely.
see where we're going, see
See
how
where
things
we end
react.
up once we
See
get.
what
I'm
the
still
impact is of
examining
all
with
of
the
that.
college about it. Like I said, I went to the college today. I talked to them up there a little bit, Bob and Justin, to see, you know, and they did indicate to me on certain days, and I'm getting a lot of pumpage, they seem to have a lot more flow of kids, commuter students and that on these certain days, almost coinciding a little bit with the added pumpage that I'm doing. It's,
That makes sense.
You're at
it
full
scares
capacity up
me,
there.
it scares me only because when I come to the late March, April timeframe, college is still in session and the temperatures are rising, people are washing their cars more, starting ready for their spring, summer activities, and the water is really gonna start being
We-
used.
We may have to explore probably, could we get some information maybe for the next meeting to maybe instituting some outdoor water bans?
The state will come in also. We can activate any type of water ban we desire, like an odd even or whatever. But the state does do a mandated water ban sometimes, depending on the drought situation.
Well, there
things
shouldn't
like
be a
that.
drought this year.
No, but I'm saying is this is what they do
Well,
when
we
you have
can- we
certain
can-
climate.
Could you
Okay,
get
so-
us,
We had one last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
could you get us like the
Well,
enrollment?
that
for-
was just during the day last
Right,
year.
from 9 to 5.
Right, right.
Could you, from Nichols, could you get us their, like, enrollment by, so we could see, hey, they had this many kids this month, and we could compare it to a flow?
I can try. I can see if they can come up with something because certain students leave, certain students, you know, the commuter. Some days they're there, some days they're not. But I can see.
They have reduced.
They are full capacity, as I was told.
They are, but how many kids are actually in-house at, you know?
Yeah. I forgot the number too, and I'm always up to. I can't remember the
Yeah.
exact number. It was.
Right.
They were-
Well, I don't know, do we have to vote on it to give, I mean, anyone
Comes
looking
before
for a
us
permit has to come in front of the board anyhow.
Yeah, I'm not ready to vote on any kind of a
No.
moratorium yet.
Yeah.
I'd want more
We're
information.
just taking George's
But we
information.
absolutely take it under advisement and,
Then we have to start thinking that way, which will be prepared for next month then.
sure,
We'll put our homework together and have it on the agenda for next month.
absolutely.
I think our biggest concern on water, in all honesty, is spending some money to research where to go with a third active well.
We've been looking at it for years. It's,
But apparently there's places in.
see if we can
what do
find,
need to
yeah,
do?
maybe see if there's anything.
I've got, like
Any
I said, I've got
technology
two
to
little
come through to
avenues
find-
I'm slowly trying to move into. I've got some information that Jay had asked me to grab just on the trusts, things like that from land that people are, it's just being kind of sitting there and it's been entrusted in certain people. Maybe we can contact them and say, hey, you know, we'd like to see if we can explore some.
Okay.
You know, we couldn't, like, where pump 6 is in the woods there,
Yeah.
they can't just put a brand-new pump? Well,
It wouldn't,
that's
you
pumping-
can't
it's
even
pumping
do
for
that
free.
because you'd end up blowing the main in that area.
We need
With
14 acres.
Two stations like that,
14 acres of land for pump
But
field.
yeah.
All of our supply is down there. You can
Yeah,
only
I-
push so much through the
Yeah.
pipes.
We want to go to the other,
Yeah, I
put it this way,
understand.
we want to
Get it
get
from
in.
another
Our capacity is maximum pressure there in that area, in the
We
gallonages.
want to go into the Quinnebog River Basin.
We want to isolate the
French
tank,
River
kind of
Basin.
keep, pump it right directly up towards the tank.
We could
Keep that
split
area
the-
separate.
Split the town in
Yeah, I
half.
agree.
Gravity
We
fed.
get something down around Mill Road or
Yeah.
something in that area would be great.
And George has been at the assessor's office looking at plot plans.
Okay.
Okay, so that takes care of that.
Can we,
Yep. Lions Estate
take
proposed.
6 and 7 out of,
Yeah.
out of sequence so we can take care of Mr. Haines?
Come on up, David. You sign in, please.
Yeah, I did, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. How's everybody doing? A brief history. My name's David Haines. I currently reside at 25 Lions Road in Dudley. I've been a resident since 1996. I lived on 77 Lions. I've been before the sewer department, the boards, in 2007 under the name DHKJ Realty Trust. I had a definitive plan fully approved and ready to go and ready to build in 2007. The economy, of course, was terrible at that time. In 2011, 2012, myself and my wife got divorced. Unfortunately for me, the property she had retained and sat on. I do still have my file. I came in personally, 2007, we had a 2-year extension for the 18 sewer permits. I was able to come back in 2009, and the board graciously was able to extend those.
Remember that?
I did come in right up through 2012 and receive those extensions, and that's the year that we were divorced. I can attest that my ex-wife came in 2016 and was able to have the permits reinstated. So that was a couple of years
Permits
ago.
for water or for sewer?
We do not need water because we're drilling wells for sewer only. The plan, I recently met with the planning board, Donald Johnson. I met with the selectmen prior to that. In 2016, I actually bought the property back. I had to rescind the subdivision at that time in order to build a single-family home on that property. I built it on lot 18, which is right down the egress of the driveway. It's the 18th lot from one coinciding over. I have the engineering plan that was done at the time. We were able to come in before you, and you graciously allowed us, the permit to build the single-family home. Today's a new market. I met with Donald Johnson last week. Basically, other than moving a couple lot lines with my engineer, he basically said to me, we can take the plan as is. We're good with COMCOM. That was filed years ago. I spoke to Glenn, Matt Morrow. Everything's on file with COMCOM. We're ready to go on this project now. We'd like to come before you tonight and see if we can retain or get our permits back so that we can move forward to the planning board next week and then to try to get the definitive plan done.
How many houses?
It's 18. Well, it's 17 now, and then there's the 35-acre lot in the back, which we asked for a permit for Lot B, and you were able to give us that permit as well.
Dave, what are the lot sizes gonna be?
I have a full set. We can lay them out. They're like right around 30,000, 30 to 40.
Is this the same plan John Nestor?
Same plan. Yep.
I remember, because I was gonna build a house in there.
You were?
Yeah, we're looking at it.
It's the same plan.
What's Lot B, 35 acres, future development?
It would only be one home, or we're gonna leave it for open space. That was the idea behind it.
But it
Any
could
water
be,
there?
There wouldn't be any more. Well, no, when we did get the definitive plan, sir, it called for just one property. That's why we only asked for one permit. There won't be any more development other than one.
Does anything restrict the development of the 35 acres?
Well, it's at the end of the egress, Scott, so there is 100 foot of frontage. Here's the smaller plan. Actually, the bigger one. That's the 100 foot of frontage, and then the remainder is...
35 acres, yeah.
But you can see there's a lot of wetlands on this property, so in order to get across, you'd have to build a culvert. So we really didn't want to do anything. We don't want to do anything with that at this point.
There's nothing legally restricting anybody 20 years from now from saying, hey, I'll build a culvert and put homes back there.
I know that you could possibly build one home back there, but under the subdivision guidelines, you could not.
You'd have to
We
put a whole
wouldn't-
new
We wouldn't ask
subdivision
for
back
that. We wouldn't want to ask for that.
They'd have to go through a whole new, or go through the subdivision process.
Yeah, we
all
wouldn't
over
want to
again.
ask for that either.
Number 45 goes down, is that where your wife, who's the house in number 45 Lions Road? It goes back into that same area.
That was my property.
It's got a leak.
Well, it was sold in our divorce.
Okay.
We subdivided the 5 acres off,
Yeah.
and it was sold.
So does this come close to that property, this whole
Well,
subdivision?
my house abuts that
Yeah.
property.
Okay.
That house was
Well,
recently
you'll
sold.
enter from your property, basically. Enter that subdivision from your property?
It
How's
isn't a subdivision.
No,
No.
this, I'm
Can I-
talking about this here.
No, this,
Can I show you, sir?
Sure.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Oh, you had it on the camera, I guess.
That's okay. It won't be on camera. I'm just trying to get an idea where the entrance and how that,
Yeah, so here's our entrance here. My home is right here.
yeah, that's what I mean, yeah, that Slick's house is
No,
over
they
here.
have their own egress entrance here. And
Yeah.
that was the
I just wanna know how
5
far, okay. So this goes back over
The
that
entrance is
side.
gonna be down the road?
No, it's right here, sir.
Slick's house goes in there.
Alright,
Yeah,
that's
that
the
driveway, yeah.
That's
His
just
house is,
before Carl's house,
yeah.
the cop.
Carl's over here.
Carl's over
That's
here.
Carl over here.
Yeah.
That was a private egress, which we were able to
Talk about it, so people's
use that as a
houses.
Sewer pump
driveway.
station's over here.
It's actually right in front.
Yeah.
of
I was
that.
gonna say, that road's next to the property.
It is. And I know that there's been a lot of upgrades done. I was very involved with the capacity back in the days, and I know there was plenty of capacity.
Cause that's where, all of that land was clear cut like 3 years ago.
The road.
It was done before I ended up buying it back.
Well, no, I was in the woods when they were cutting the trees down, so I was surprised that they hunt a lot over that, in that area.
I remember this plan when John Ness and I were looking at it, so that's what I'm saying. This area was, that we were gonna go somewhere in this area here. They were the biggest lots here, on the end of the cul
And you can see the sizes. I mean, I have all the lot sizes are right there.
yeah, it might be
37
before, it was
too.
before I, yes,
36.
Kind eyes.
yes.
They're not, I mean, we can't do septic there.
His eyes and how.
We need the sewer permits in
It's
order
this
to
land here.
move forward, but
He had
we
built
propose to,
his
put
house
wells
here.
in. We do have one fire hydrant at
Circles all around.
an egress right after 400, between 400 and 500.
So you'd have a 8-inch pipe coming in, or from the street, to stop at a certain point, right to the end of that, where that hydrant is over here?
I don't want to refer back to the engineer. I mean,
Okay.
I've been through this so many times.
Yeah, all right.
It's really.
The
it was
road
kinda-
running this way?
No, this is the
What is
lot
it?
line, sir.
Oh, all right.
That's its
so-
own, that's its own 5-acre parcel.
Oh, all right,
We had to-
that's the one that's cut off.
That's all cut off,
Okay,
which is actually my
all
backyard.
right, so you're gonna go in and your house is right there?
My house is right here.
Yeah, okay.
So we built
Up
there.
there, I doubt it.
And it was a nice clean cut plan. We left a lot of room for open
35
space.
acres.
And it does abut Eisenhower Estate, so it's
Yep.
aesthetically, it's
Yeah, these-
conforms. Eisenhower is right here.
Those backyards are right.
They're abutting,
Oh, so you'll be running right behind them?
correct. So it will be a beautiful abutting community.
Does it hit the golf range?
That's
That's
over on
way
the-
down.
That's further over.
All right.
They're not going down that far. Okay, so we're looking for 18 sewer permits for single-family homes,
Single-family home, sir.
two, 3-bedroom.
Yeah, 2, 3 bedrooms. Yep. And like I said, it was approved right up until 2016. That's been the history of this property. It was a great plan. You know, we had it fully approved definitive in 2007. There was no issues.
So once this gets
when-
approved, you're all set to go?
We're ready to go, Scott.
You got
We're not
bank
gonna sit on it.
financing, It's all lined up?
Yep. I own the property, so.
Yeah. But I
All right,
think
was there a problem with your sewer pump?
There's never been any problems there.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, I was told that the pump wasn't low enough.
My sewer pump? At 25?
Eisenhower
Right or
Drive.
wrong?
Eisenhower Drive.
No, that wasn't me,
They
sorry.
regraded, what they did was they put it at the right height, but they regraded the road again a second time without knowledge of the town even knowing,
All right,
and brought
I
it
thought
down
it-
to
I
a
thought-
low.
No, it wasn't me, sir.
No, that's.
Well, I'm on the right road.
I've been
It's on the
on,
right area.
I've been a good,
George.
in good standings with the
Well,
town.
no, I heard this the other day.
Oh.
I can't hear you.
The wetland on this property?
It's wet.
It's
over
wet
there.
on the other, on the end of that cul-de-sac
backside.
area.
I was just wondering if we could,
Yeah, I know where it is.
There's no way that we could do,
Water?
That's the- yeah,
Moniz
yeah.
no,
is
if
over
we,
here.
if we.
I don't think there's enough
You,
room
you
there.
may be putting.
Oh,
in
yeah,
that
just put
little
a-
one in there.
oh,
water
yeah. I wouldn't have a
station.
problem with that. I actually
don't-
was entertaining to
It's
listen.
more than 14 acres.
That's the driveway. going
Yeah.
up, the attorney.
I mean, I own the
Well,
35
I know, but
acres
I think
outright
that's
in the
the-
back. I own the title to
We
that.
did
I
test
own the
borings, I
deed.
think, in there, but it wasn't enough
Um,
supply there. There was no aquifer to hit there. We have to be near
water
some
goes
kind of a
from-
major
My
river,
only
like French
concern
River, like
is
Winnebago River, to get
what's
the
that
added
West
water that
Main
we
Street
need, and there's
going?
nothing.
Yeah, the
nothing
intermittent
there.
stream, George, isn't really
I
too
understood.
good
No,
back
no.
there.
No.
Yeah, that's,
I was just looking at this as far as this little
Well-
sewer pumping station or something in there, or if you know,
You're only
individual
talking about
pumps.
two
for
loads
each,
a day, you know, in the morning and at night, so how big is the pipe on Lions Road?
I think it was an 8 inch, no,
It's not 12?
sewer is, what, 8 inch? It's a gravity going down, and the water's an 8
Oh, all right, I
inch.
see.
Yeah,
It is the
So is
gravity.
it what inch?
it's an 8 inch gravity.
If you'd like to see the rest,
I
I,
can handle it then, I can handle it now.
Yeah, there shouldn't be enough down in that area to hit
You're gonna put force mains?
capacity for 8 inch.
say that
When you
again,
get
Scott.
out to
Mains
West
in
Main
John?
Street, is
There's E1 system, and
yeah,
then
it's
if
10
the force
right
main's
up
going
outside.
down.
Don't
Yeah.
hold me to
So
it, I
they-
thought it was 10 inches. It was.
Could be individual.
Yeah.
well, that sounds awful small.
But the other thing.
We'd
that
have to see exactly the plan, take it on, have Mike and I and the engineer look at that plan, and
Yeah, I think that's worth it.
see what exactly would we have, individual pumps, a little small, little station,
I
or
have
whatever.
everything right here. if you want to see.
Got it.
Yeah, it was,
That was.
I
years
want to
ago,
remember
there
it was
Yeah.
individual pumps.
I remember there was discussion of a development behind the courthouse that was also.
Oh, that was huge, I was gonna
That was
wall down
like
the
way
back.
down.
Yeah, that
I
wasn't
think
us.
that's a big one, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
I don't
was
remember the
tough
stuff.
That's a different
That
animal.
was like
yeah.
35,
That's
that was like
coming up
35
the hill.
homes.
Yeah, well, that'd
That's
be great, it'd be,
Yeah,
That was tough stuff.
that's a different scenario. I think the biggest, the thing that we have to explain too, are the changes we made to those E1 systems that, what do you have to buy, 1 or 2? A few months ago, remember we told the guys on Jesse Road?
Yeah.
You had to buy 1 or 2 pumps for backups in case some of them go.
yeah, we were letting out our pump on an emergency basis, and we can't really do that,
Dave, do you understand that?
have it tied up.
Say that again,
You
Scott?
you have 18 homes, so you, instead of 18 pumps, you'd have to buy 2 more.
Two, yeah, per.
Give them to the town.
Yeah, I heard
So-
Jay say
all
that
right,
earlier.
as a-
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have a
Just so
problem
there's,
with
yeah,
that.
just so there's a backup.
One for
that's
every
all.
12, right? Is that
If,
something like-
if,
yeah,
if you don't mind
every
writing
10 or
that right
something.
into,
That, it's in the, it should be in the,
Yeah. For every 10, you have to buy an extra pump.
yeah, it's-
Okay.
that's all in the permit,
Minutes.
yeah, it's in the permit information, right?
I don't know if
Okay,
it's on
so
the
what's-
permit, it's in our
will
minutes.
conform
What
with
are we
any
talking
new
about?
Yeah.
bylaw.
What are we
But just like
talking
you know
about
it's
for
there, and that's
capacity?
why.
Okay.
So if one of them goes,
The engineer's gonna have to evaluate
So
the
they can plug
capacity
and
from
play
now,
and fix the
and then
other-
get
the
back to
person's
us,
pump.
plus the size of the main going down, and then, plus going up on West Main Street.
We have to do our due.
So we have to do our diligence to
that
kinda see, you know, if
This doesn't impact what we have on
Yeah,
Lions
with-
Road
Yeah.
and what we have on West Main Street. Is that all, I remember the fellow from Flow Company that did the testing, the intersection of Dudley Hill Road and West Main Street, he knew the day the college was out.
yes.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
So he could, you know, his meter told him that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
but that's
Because-
just, that, but if it's not at overcapacity, you can just see the difference in the flow, that doesn't mean that.
I mean, we have to have our homework done that West Main Street and Lion Road can handle.
Remember what happened at Eisenhower Drive, where I had to secure a bond to put a secondary
That's-
pump in there?
But that's a different scenario.
It is,
That's
but
not-
it's-
That's not a capacity issue, that's, they didn't do it right issue.
I know, that's what I'm saying, it has to be more monitored. How did that get allowed to happen is my question.
Yeah.
But without getting into it, I'm also questioning, how many projects are we gonna have in this town with E1 pumps? You know what I mean, versus making someone put in a pump station and maintain it. on
Yeah, but
their
then
own.
we,
Yeah, 'cause
Well, that's
now-
what I'm saying, is,
So we got,
but,
we got 30 of them out there now, 30, at least, what, 18 and 36 potential house lots that people are going to have to be responsible for that E1 pump. Now you're gonna put 18 more on. Are we doing a disservice to these homeowners by putting these E1 pumps
Why
everywhere?
don't you put them all around the lake?
Yeah,
but
but
if we,
compared to a pump station that the
But once
property,
once
that
it becomes public,
yeah,
the,
if we,
someone is responsible for,
That's-
not us.
That's not our issue.
yeah, that's not, yeah,
That might
that,
be a sink or swim, I see.
E1
I
is,
understand what you're saying.
yeah, you
That's
know.
not our-
I worked on a pumping station at Webster Lake, and we were underwater the whole time putting it in, and it was a lot of problems. You could run into a lot of problems. It's got a lot of water there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even want a pumping station there to have to
Yeah,
maintain
you'd have
it.
to-
Well, we don't want it. That's
No, what I'm saying
saying.
is, it always ends up
But-
ending,
Yeah.
if there's an emergency, who's gonna go
The town
cover
ends
the
up-
exactly.
sewer department?
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
Eisenhower is a
things that
pumping
are
station, right?
responsible,
That's,
things
These
that are
would've been
responsible
better
for something like
in
that now.
retrospect, right?
Better off to have one, everybody's responsible for
I think
it.
you're going the right way with the one pumps, it's a safe way to go, it's, you know.
That's
I
the easy
would-
That,
way out.
if there were 300 homes in there, I'd be like, yeah, I think we need a pumping station.
Dave, what about just off the cuff, the septic system in there? Did you ever consider putting septics in there? Was it because
We
of the-
can't because of the high
wetlands?
water. Yeah,
high water
because of the
table?
high
Yeah.
water table.
Yeah, that's a tough.
And really, I
spot.
mean, I don't want to bring the term up, I mean, it's a deal breaker. I mean, it always had been, but
Yeah.
we had always been in good standings with the sewer department.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the pumps,
no.
Yes.
No.
because I know,
Much rather see-
you know, put enough pumping stations in with Geoso, that, you know, that's not cheap money.
No.
You know, you
Well,
might have
we
to.
have
put
to engineer 'em in there.
How many
it's
do we
all
have
sorts
now?
of-
14 around town that they check every day? That we,
Yeah.
that would drop in our laps,
No.
you know?
Like I said, the town was always responsible in an emergency to deal with the problem, no matter, because the first ones they call is the town. Whether it's town accepted, town not accepted. And that's what happened with
That's
Eisenhower.
fine.
Do we want to?
Well, I think we're
Safe
kind
this
of
way.
on board with this.
So what do,
We're gonna have to go with the capacity, you
Yeah,
know, and see what's going on.
So you
Have to
want to
do-
give a provisional acceptance based on your, his.
You wouldn't even have to
Well,
do
contingent on
provisional,
the
just,
flow.
But he needs it to go to the,
he's gone to conservation, he's gone to.
Concom's done, it's been in place, I'm looking to go to the plan board next
Okay,
week.
he's gotta do his, he's still gotta do his due diligence.
Who's your
to
engineer
that.
now?
John Grenier is the engineer.
do you need our approval to go to?
Yeah, they want to know that I have
Right.
the sewer permits in order to even go before them.
I don't think it's
We
subject to
don't-
approval.
It's kind of hard to
We're
say
still in the
yes
beginning,
without
yeah,
knowing the flow,
It's hard to tell you yes,
you know?
without knowing what we're getting into.
Can we table it till the next meeting?
I don't,
Should be
Yeah, but he's
able to
going
figure
next
it
week.
out.
but I don't
We can
think,
get at least an idea. We'll have to go tie in Vaughn, Mike and I will have to look and see what the,
I don't think 18 homes, in all honesty, from everything I've heard.
it's not a
over
deal
years,
breaker, I don't think.
I don't think,
I think
I don't
it's
think
gonna
there's an
work.
issue at all.
Well, like Fred
Well,
said, I
that's-
mean, it only gets pumped twice a day, I mean, that's
Yeah.
what
Well,
we
that's what I
always-
mean, you know, you're only gonna work it in the morning and at night. It's, other than that, it's just kind of,
We still have to, we still have to involve the engineer to get there for the flows and then what it's gonna be, so we have that information, so we can make a decision.
I think we need to get it to them sooner rather than later. I mean, see, that's the other thing, and here's my point from the last gentleman that was here. I don't think very much was done on those 5 homes, but those 5 homes are included in our capacity right now,
I agree with Scott.
where other people have done their due diligence and their homework and spent money. You know, and it's not a security blanket, it's something they need, and that potentially impacts this, which, again, I think we should reach out to the engineer this week. I think we should give a provisional acceptance based on you reaching out to Ty and Bond or whomever to make sure that 18 homes isn't gonna impact the flow, that's fine. But maybe they can say, hey, you can add 100 without it being an impact, which I thought we had that type of analysis in the past, that you can add up to these many homes without worrying about it right now, based on the flow study that was done 10 years ago.
As long as they have the stamp of approval and it's been looked at, and
Yeah.
and that's,
But I think I don't wanna wait till next meeting, though. I think we can do provisionally, and then you can go out with the information. And as long as they come back and say, hey, you can add 100 homes, or 50 homes, or 1,000, or whatever, go. And that tells you right there what your moratorium is, or your limit is.
And I think with a preliminary, provisionary, I think that'll allow us to go in front of the board. When I met with Mr. Johnson, other than moving a couple lot lines because my house was slid over a little,
There's also
they basically want to bring it to public hearing and let it fly.
Possible future extension, like I said, you know, we're talking,
Oh, that's just that road.
Yeah, but that's not what we're considering today.
We're not
No,
considering
you
that
just
today. It's
consider
not
it
for us.
18 homes
That's
is
for planning
what's
board.
before us.
unless you wanna go to a special meeting or something, have a special quick meeting, after it's been reviewed.
Well, I think if we, preliminary approval, so he can go to the meeting and unless you find something else this coming week, that, hey, they come back and say, you can't
That
approve
the
it.
pipe can't handle it. I mean, but
That'll negate the preliminary approval.
everything I've heard over the years, after all these flow studies and the fix we did down there, was that you had capacity to add homes, you know.
All right, well, here's the other thing too, is that their engineer really should be meeting Ty and Bond for the, you know, because it's their expense to go and get the research done on this to make sure
we're
it's
not
done
like
properly.
that.
We're not, because we start getting into the Ty and Bond, we're gonna be footing the bill for all that.
I remember, George, you know, when I was in before prior to, and
Yeah.
I know it's been a while. I mean, it was around the time, 10 years.
Yeah,
All those studies were done.
yeah.
And
I'm
like
I'm
Scott-
sure they were, I don't
and
think
like
there's a
Scott said, I mean,
problem.
it really did, I mean, when they looked at 18 houses, they were like, basically, it's not that,
Yeah, I don't remember that ever being
I
an
don't
issue.
think-
it wasn't an issue.
You know, they would,
But at least on the town side, you need their stamp of approval, and so, I mean, I could reach out to Maria and say, hey, I've got a preliminary subdivision going up with a plan, can you review it and touch base with their engineer?
yeah.
And,
But somewhere in our notes, okay, there is a flow study.
oh, I'm sure,
That
but
was, let me finish. That was
Yeah.
done, and we had X amount of houses on it at the time, 2,000, let's say, I don't know how many. And they said, you have capacity to add X.
You
And
did
so,
that.
if we were at 2,000 and now we're at 2,200, and it said you can do 2,500,
They did,
we have 300. But the math is there, we have the facts for the math. So I don't know.
didn't they do that in 2000?
I
When
think it was
Haney
after
came
that.
before the board?
I think it was after that, I think there
And he
was something.
built
done.
Eisenhower Drive and all of those around.
But I
think I
This is
thought.
Mikashevsky's land.
But-
Yeah, but I
That
think
was
it
in
was-
2000.
Yeah, I
I-
think there was stuff done after that. But point being, Eisenhower had a bad deal, but that has nothing, that wasn't a capacity issue. That was, the pump was bad, it wasn't put into the spec, and it was the whole, like is typical in Dudley, and you can see it in every development, where the Ts and the Is weren't crossed, they weren't followed up, and you end all of a sudden, hey, my sidewalk never went in. They never put the second coat of tar on my road. That's what the type of issue in Eisenhower. This is completely different. This is, do we have the capacity?
yeah, let's do this. This is the smartest move. You can do a provisional tonight. It'll get him going on his little trip, okay? I will be in touch with Ty and Bond, and Mike and Tim also, because their input is
Who's Mike and Tim?
your sewer employees.
Sewer.
Okay.
Because their input is paramount as to what the pipes can handle and what they can't handle, okay? And it's all updated information, okay? I'll have her refer and get his information for his engineer. They'll get back to their engineer. We'll get a report back that, yes, it's a go, or they have a concern about something, or whatever. You'll have to rescind the vote back if there's a problem.
Yeah.
If not,
Well, the vote is contingent upon that there's flow capacity.
the layman of sewer is
Well, I
contingent.
also question flow capacity, and we get that nice bill from Webster every month, and now we're suddenly adding 20 more, 40 more homes.
We bill,
Yeah, we bid,
we bill it and we
Yeah.
pay it. That's-
That's
but
all
those
the
40
rate.
more
Well, we
homes,
pay,
Well,
we
you-
we
given
pay
us-
for that as well.
Well, we pay for that, but what happens if that goes from 38.5 to
That-
48.5? How are we gonna pay for that?
Because-
well, then the rates will have to
Time
change.
out, time out. The billing structure that you have in place takes your fixed cost divided by the number of users, and that's covered, all right? The variable rate, which is what you pay to Webster, is all based on flow, and you're charging them based on the way it used to be done. You take last year's total billable units, divide it into what Webster charges, that's your rate. So every variable, when that goes over, they're gonna get a bill to the home. So the homeowner, if he uses 100 units, and that's $5 a unit, he's gonna get a $500 bill. So that's gonna cover whatever Webster charges you for it, so that's not a
fine.
concern. Your fixed cost per user will actually go down, because now you have 18 more people to cover the fixed cost. So so it's only gonna benefit the sewer users
And
by
the
adding the
system,
home.
the system was built,
And
the
if-
system was built to deal with more capacity as more development was done.
And I believe the system
pumping
does
station
have
at Webster
capacity.
only runs at half the
Yeah,
power.
I think that's a smart move. I think it covers our bases, covers his bases.
I don't wanna jump into anything without getting professional.
Yeah, that, at
The only
least,
thing I
let the
wanna-
engineers meet.
Can we?
It's out of our,
Make a motion to accept it preliminarily, just so we can get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing, can I add, if we need to review it, make sure we got the flow.
Contingent on the flow.
If we get hit with a big bill, we gotta pass the bill on because it's your project.
And
You know,
but I have one other concern. When we
That's
looked
the
at,
only question.
when we looked at the development behind St. Anthony's, did we do a flow study? Did we have the same issue? I don't recall that. Remember that the behind St. Anthony's, between St. Anthony's and Airport Road, there's gonna
They're
be
over
those
55.
20 houses or whatever it is.
Road is.
25 houses.
Yeah.
We said there's capacity. I don't understand what the
Well,
issue is.
That was before
we
me.
told them they would go out gravity. We didn't want to go into the pump station. They want to go down
Yeah,
Airport
yeah.
Road to the pump
But
station.
wait a minute, I'm
We
talking
said
about
no.
flow.
We're talking about
pure
flow.
flow
Yeah, I
on
know,
the
but I
mains.
mean,
We
we
had
didn't
absolutely
discuss-
no issue, no concern.
No,
What
no,
has
no.
changed? I want to know what has changed that now there's a capacity flow
The pipe
issue.
is bigger over
Now we
there.
got 3 developments
where?
going into West Main
Coming out
Street.
of where Ruda wants to build, the pipe is 10
The
inch.
pipe
no?
goes to West Main Street and so does his.
His pipe
Yeah,
is
but
there.
how big is the pipe on West Main Street? And I see that, yes.
I think that was fixed, was it?
No, but this is a different issue. I guess I'm confused. Less than a year ago, we approved 25 houses, or whatever it is.
You approved it, but you haven't, the sewer part
Time
hasn't
out.
been approved yet.
Time out. To come, oh.
You have-
Oh, yes, it
no.
has.
Oh, yes, it was.
You can't, until you have the flow studies done, until you have the stamp by the engineer, you can't have anything done yet. You haven't done that yet.
What is?
As far as the-
I'm very confused. What do we,
As far as the one on Airport Road, have you had an engineer look at that study?
what flow study?
The engineer, the capacity of the pipe for that development, have you had it approved,
We
stamped by an
approved- We
engineer?
approved that they could put sewers in there.
Did you have it done by an engineer
That's
before you
what
did that?
that's exactly what I'm asking.
No, you didn't.
And we approved it.
You approved it, but like I said, it should have been provisional upon an engineer looking at the.
In 25 years on this board, we have never done that. We did a flow study every 5 years or 10 years or whatever it was, and we knew what our capacity was, and actually Louis Gribb had a very good command of what capacity was in the system based on those flow studies, and we had, and then correct me if I'm wrong, they told us, right now you have so many users, you can add 600 more homes without a problem, and onto the West Main Street. And this area of town, you can't, you're limited to like 50 because of the capacity. But we had a good command of where we could and could not add folks.
That's wrong.
And the number of, I'm not wrong, I'm
That's what I'm
absolutely
saying,
right.
that's wrong to do it that way.
But-
You should have, you need
These
an
were
engineer.
These were professional engineers who looked at our flow study and said, on these roads, you can add so much capacity. So many homes, so many bedrooms, whatever it was. That's when we came out with rates per bedroom and everything else back in the late 90s, early 2000s, or whatever it was. But it was all based on those flow studies, and we had a command of, you have 2,000, you can go up to 2,500, and down in this other area of town, the pipes are old, they go through backyards and over hills, and, you know, to grandmother's house we go, and you can only add so many, and maybe 50 homes in that area, that's it. That's why some of the development that they wanted, that they were even proposing on what's the name of the road that goes to, along the French River to Oxford?
Oxford Ave.
That you couldn't put so much because some of those pipes may not be able to handle it because they go through backyards, et cetera, and all that stuff. And some of those issues were fixed, some were not. But we had a command, and I never saw us say that we couldn't add based on flow, ever since we fixed out in front of the fire station in Marty's. After that problem got fixed, they said you have so much capacity, you can add it in, and we never had a discussion. And I don't remember this discussion when we added 20 or 25 homes behind St. Anthony's, between Airport Road and St. Anthony's, or the gentleman who came in for the 5, oh yeah, you can send it down West Main Street. Mason Road can definitely handle 5 homes, okay. Then we just added 25, and we said, okay, and now all of a sudden, I don't know what changed, but I'm confused. And I've been on this board since 1995.
I think you were relying on Louis Gribb's opinion on a lot of things, which may be
No,
right.
I was relying on
but-
professional engineering studies that were
Professional
done that
from-
gave us, and we
from who?
relied on Louis to tell us, based on those engineering studies, how much more capacity. Like 3 years after we met with the engineers, how many have we used out of the 500 that we could have? Oh, we only used 55. Or we looked at the permits that were out there, how many users, or whatever it was. But we had a logical approach, and I'm just confused. I don't understand. What changed in the last 6 months?
It was also prior to this I&I study going on too.
But this will give us another,
You've had more infiltration into the piping as it is.
I-
in the
I
last
and I
bit.
Right,
World
but
War
this-
One.
this
I and I will eventually increase our capacity because we
Yeah.
will be pulling the groundwater out of the
But
system.
at least you'll have something in writing that safeguards you that, hey, yes, you can
and
issue,
those-
or no, you
Right.
can't.
And those capacity studies looked at I&I back then too. Because one of the biggest problems, if we all remember, is that miraculously, another town had negative I&I. And that was, that's where I learned a lot about it, because how can you have negative I&I? The engineers were going, that you can't. So, but my point simply being is we had capacity, I&I studies were done, all this is like Groundhog Day, all this stuff that they want done. Professional engineers looked at it, they looked at our pipes, that's why we replaced where it went 14 to 8 to 10 to 12 to 8 to 6 and all that stuff. We replaced all those pipes and made sure that there was capacity, so that it was consistent throughout the whole system, because those were the bottlenecks, the constraints in the process. And most of those were resolved, especially the one down there, the fire station. But I'm just a little confused as to why all of a sudden we're apprehensive about adding 18 homes.
I think we're just being.
Can I address, and Scott had said this earlier with no disrespect, Louis Gribb was very actively involved in this plan. And I do remember the studies, and when we came before the sewer commission at that time, there was no issue. So I think Scott has a great point saying, like, and I know that right before me, there was an 18-lot subdivision approved, and I know timing's everything in life. Was there a flow study done for that one? You know, so if there wasn't a flow study done for that one, you know, how do we know what capacity is left, and why would a flow study determine my project tonight?
Well, I think
he's
there's
right
a-
in that statement.
I
I have to agree with that.
And we won't know the impact of these subdivisions until after they're built.
That's.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't.
And I don't see it, single-family homes,
But I'm confused.
I'm not concerned.
The sewer system expanded, basically doubled back in 1995, 97, 99, 2000, whatever years phase 1, 2, and 3 were done.
2000.
And then the flow studies were done before that and then after that. And we fixed some of the problems that actually increased our capacity.
From an engineer,
And
not a
again,
flow study.
the system hasn't changed all that much in the last 20 years.
And I know living on Lions Road, I mean, they've done a lot of improvements on Lions Road, over the years.
So my-
With the pipes.
I don't think
And I
there's
knew
one
that
straight on
from,
Lions Road, and I don't think there's one in West Main Street that's gonna prohibit us. If anything, Mason Road had capacity issues from my recollections. And we've added, we just approved 5 homes on there, and that's why we sent folks, hey, go up Jesse,
Drive.
not to
Up
Mason
to Elm
Road.
Drive, yep.
I'm confused here. I didn't ask for a flow study. I'm asking for just an engineer to stamp that the capacity is available to get what he wants, and simple as that. Touch base with his engineer, done deal.
And that's-
It's not a
And
flow study.
Okay.
I truly believe you're being proactive, and let's make sure there isn't a problem
Yeah,
that we're adding to.
that's all. Just do it
But
safeguarding.
I think we're safe to, give him preliminary
Yeah,
approval, unless you find something out this week and
That's
they come back.
that's what he said. That's what I-
Yeah,
yeah.
but can we look in the information that's there, this historical data, of the last study that was done, and I don't remember the year, it might have been 2004. Might have been 2007, I don't know. But in there is capacity where it says you add here, you can add so much to the system without having issues. And it says if Mason Road's a constraint, if West Main Street's a constraint, if down there the Webster Dudley Boys Club is a constraint. In the other area of town, we had the water issue with the hydrant busting. at the
Ethan Allen?
Old factory. Yeah, Ethan Allen. So, but that information exists, and we know how many people we had then, we know how many we have now. That should give us a clue as to what our capacity is, so that we can avoid worrying about it.
But even so, I mean, like I said, it's just a matter of having an engineer stamp it off, say, hey, I don't, maybe the best capacity in the world, but at least he stamped it off. We're covered, they're covered, airport road's covered,
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, we
It's-
Yeah, well, we've had houses flood and back up on
Yes.
West Main Street where all the sewerage has entered the house.
Yes.
So like I say, we have grease coming down that line.
It just
I'm not-
protects
That
us
was-
that,
Those houses backed
Yeah.
up before we fixed the.
That's got nothing to do with the siphon. That was all grease in the mains on West Main
Main Street,
Street,
Yeah.
coming down from other locations.
That's when we found out that
And-
stuff went through backyards.
And
Where-
no,
where's
not
the
up there, it
pipe?
goes right down the center
Yeah.
of West Main Street. And like I say, you're showing us the subdivision, we don't know anything about it outside of where are the specs on the E1 pumps? That
I mean,
hasn't been brought up.
I mean, I have them all here, I mean, I didn't know that I was gonna have to have the engineer
But,
come in.
but, like I say, usually the engineer accompanies the developer and fills us in on everything. Myself, I'm not ready to say, yeah, carte blanche on anything till I get something black and white in front of me. I gotta know if, Lyons Road can handle it, I gotta know if West Main Street can handle it, because now, coming downhill gravity-wise, you're dumping in 18 homes at the intersection of Hall and Lyons, go down to the intersection of,
Dudley Hill
on
Road.
Dudley Hill Road, you got 22 more coming into that trunk line. Go down to the intersection of Airport Road, you got 18 more dumping into that trunk line. So what's that, 18, 36, 48? All of a sudden, you got 50 homes dumping into
Where's
the
the
West
other
Main Street.
18? Where's the other 18?
Alton Drive.
All three of these developments are dumping into the main trunk line.
Yep.
So don't tell me the siphon can handle it. Don't tell me the
We
Main Street can handle
have
it.
the study, is what I'm saying. The
Someone
study's
better-
there.
Someone better prove it, black and white, because
It's in the office.
we've
There.
paid bills for houses that backed up, the sewerage backed into their homes.
Not because of the
On-
siphon.
No, Upper West Main Street. I don't know the size of that West Main Street line across from like the auto body shops and everything, but houses below that, we had blockages in our line where those houses got damaged. Ask Mike.
Yeah, you had it right on the corner.
How long
Yeah.
ago, how long ago was
And
that?
that, like
Last
you
couple years.
stated, that's
Years
because
ago.
of the grease, and we didn't flush the lines.
That's, oh, the degreaser.
Well, I mean, they were
Right,
all.
if
they
the,
got-
if the line was jetted out properly, you wouldn't have had that
Exactly.
problem.
So that was our
Yeah.
fault that,
That's true, that was a
It's-
maintenance thing.
That was a maintenance thing, probably.
yep.
Okay, in any case, let's move
I,
this along.
and my only point is, if we can find that information, so we just have it in our toolbox, so we know that, if somebody comes in and wants 5 houses, it's not a big deal. If they want 20, it's not a big deal. If they want 350, yeah, it's a big deal. You know what I mean? But at least we'll know, we'll have a clue what our capacity is, that's all. And it's there. We've spent the money, we have this information. I just don't know where
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
historically.
And like I say, typically,
I'll arrange that anyway to
an
get,
engineer accompanies the developer and gives us all the specs.
Yeah, no, it's being proactive, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
see if Mike has that information
Did you
tucked
make
away
a
somewhere in
motion
a
to
safe or something.
preliminary approval?
I'm sorry?
Did you make a motion to preliminary?
I did.
Okay.
Can you
I'll
repeat
second
it,
that.
because it's been so long,
Yeah.
I need to know what the motion is.
I'd like to make a motion that we,
Grant?
make a preliminary approval for Lion Estates for David Haines for his proposed 18-house subdivision off of Lions, is it Lions Road?
Off of Lanes Road.
Yeah.
It's off
Yeah.
Lyons Road. It'll be called Truman Drive.
Yeah.
Truman?
Truman Drive. Goes with Eisenhower.
I like that.
And that's contingent on, okay. I'll second.
Okay, the motion has been seconded for a preliminary
Preliminary, right.
preliminary
Contingent on.
Approval.
Plan.
until,
So we can move it along for the customer,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll have to get us the information.
Well, I think George
Between you
said it
and
right. I
George.
mean,
I'm
once
gonna
the
have
engineers-
Ty and Bond, as soon as I get your engineer
Perfect.
information, they'll talk with you guys, we're gonna
Yeah.
kinda stay out of it.
I think that's a great,
And,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can
Protects
get
you,
this
let the
figured out.
engineers talk.
I think you're gonna get it figured out pretty
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, it's been seconded, and George is, through Ty and Bond, our engineer, will
meet up with his
will
engineer.
speak with your engineer,
Okay.
They'll give us a quick report of
Yeah.
what they
how
say.
they feel they can handle it. Okay, it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so
Unanimous.
much.
Who seconded that?
Seconded.
I did.
Scott.
I just want to state, I think it worked well. I love the discussion, pro and against.
Right.
You know, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. I
Absolutely.
think it'll fly, I mean,
Yeah,
I just wanna make sure.
I don't think you'll have any problem doing it at all. I think it'll be fine.
I fully understand. I respect the board. You know that. Appreciate it. Appreciate you both.
Okay,
Okay.
moving on.
Dave, can I keep that plan? What do
That's
you need?
been, I'll give you one.
Oh,
Just
that's,
give me one if you
I
can.
don't know, that's sentimental, I think.
Oh, this was wrinkled.
That is
out.
actually, Fred, it is.
It's gonna be in a frame.
That's pretty.
So, I know, I saw that.
You gonna frame that?
Okay,
I think we can we work backwards, I think we can vote on our public
Send it
hearing.
to water sewer, to Lori, right to the office, the engineer's name, everything.
We'll be going back to
Your contact information.
8, 9, and 10. Line items 8, 9, and 10 we have in front of us.
So we have to rescind and replace with a new,
Well, I think item A.
Backflow and cross-connection
Oh, yeah.
regulation.
yeah,
So do we know when that previous motion for the backflow and cross-connection
Yeah, hold on one second.
was done?
I don't know if you can read.
Well, I think on,
Reading there.
on
We did that the last meeting.
revision on A,
Okay.
I think it was just, we have to rescind it and go with the $300 fines, because
No.
those are the most.
No,
common
that
counsel.
backflow and cross-connection is the one we have to deal with rescinding.
Yep,
We
I
don't
have
have
it here.
to, meter tampering or the fee schedule, we don't.
No,
He's right, he's right.
that can stay,
Yep.
Yeah, it's the 14-day,
which
Yeah,
we
I'm trying to
read.
look and
So
see.
which
I
one are we
have
on?
the
Which one
minutes.
Number 8, backflow and cross-connection.
Okay, so that was voted on at the February 6th meeting.
February, okay, so last
Yep,
month,
last
all right.
meeting. Mhm.
I know we voted on it, I just couldn't
That
remember
was
when.
last month.
So we
February
need to
6th.
rescind that. Okay. I'll make a motion to rescind
John about it.
the vote for, from February 6th concerning
Yeah, that was kind of.
backflow and cross-connection regulation.
Second that.
And, okay, we'll rescind it first, I guess,
Actually, all we have to do is just accept
re-
the amendment.
and replace it, I was just gonna say, and
Yeah.
replace it with the.
With the amendment.
Replace it with the wording. I'm assuming this came from town council or from DEP?
From DEP.
This came from DEP?
Yep.
And replace it with the wording as,
Of the motion.
the motion as proposed by DEP.
I just have, is it open for discussion yet or no?
Second. Right.
Yeah.
All right, now can I ask a
Yeah,
question?
go ahead.
Sorry. Why does why are we saying the repair work has to be done by a licensed plumber?
That's the
Because
wording
is that the
DEP
law?
uses.
yes.
Okay.
It's
They want-
drinking
Because-
water.
Says-
Because
All right.
because otherwise, yeah, backflow prevention, you know, you could get,
I just didn't know. it
Because
was
if
part of the
something
law.
happens to it, it's gonna fall back on the licensed plumber. They wanna know, well, it's fall back on the business, but they're gonna now fall back on the licensed plumber, what
Alright.
happened, you know? They wanna make sure it's done properly.
and I know we had a backflow preventer on our dishwasher at up at the church.
So-
And it was leaking, and we wanted to get it replaced, and we had to get a plumber in to fix it.
So because in essence, ignorant on the subject, because I wasn't here for the February 6th meeting, backflow is, so it's just water that backflows into the system?
It's to prevent sewer
Back
water,
siphonage.
sewer water,
chemicals.
Like your faucet has a siphon.
drainage, gray water, preventing it from being sucked
Going
back
into
into the
clean
water
water,
system.
Clean water, yeah, yeah.
Cross-connection.
Backflow preventers are put on when we, like hydro seeding companies attached to hydrants and things.
Yeah, those are the check valves on the sewer.
That's correct,
Yeah.
prevents it from going back into,
Similar,
being
yeah.
sucked back into the
Yeah.
system
And what's a cross connection?
from another water source.
Whereas, say, even on that dishwasher issue, you don't want the soapy water in the machine in a negative pressure being siphoned back into the water.
To get sucked
Potable
back into
water.
It's all,
Yeah.
all right,
water
thank
lines.
you. So now we can vote it.
Okay.
So
So,
the only other one is,
We gotta
we got to vote on it.
vote
Motion's been made.
on all three?
Then second, no,
No,
the-
just on that one.
on 8, one at a time.
Backflow.
Backflow and
Okay,
cross-connection.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we make a motion to accept the added language.
To rescind our previous vote and replace it with
The
this,
motion that's been in print.
what's been provided to us by
by
DEP.
So do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 8's taken care of. Meter tampering policy, 9.
Has this been passed through? This did get passed
It
through?
did.
Yeah, that's the one that's,
That
okay.
went through
Town council.
town council. I'll make a motion that we accept the proposed meter tampering policy as reviewed by town council.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been seconded. Any other further discussion on the fine schedule? No? No discussion? All those in favor of accepting it?
Aye.
Okay, so that's 8. That covers us there. Then we get into 9.
No, it was 9.
You just did 9.
That's 9, 10.
Now you're on 10.
Yeah, I got them all circled.
The fee schedule
Fee schedule for water and sewer
for extensions.
approval extensions.
Is that this piece of paper, I'm sorry? Is that this one?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And
The second one.
the second option was ruled inappropriate by,
I want to make a motion that we accept the third option on this sheet that specifically states the current permit fee in the last sentence.
I'll second.
That's been seconded. Any discussion on that? To go with the current permit fee line? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's good. We talked about the warrants.
Yep.
George is kind of going, the only thing we didn't go over is the sewer department. You've got
I
that
can do
right-
that right now if
that
you
right in
want.
front of you.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Good.
This is the monthly report from the sewer
Beer
department.
is freezing.
They repaired a block heater at the Tanyard Road Station. We all met with Andrew from the community grant people there. That's moving in progress, like I explained way before. That's that section of town over by Oxford Ave that we're looking at for a project. That's approved by the state when it's ready to go. I don't know when they're gonna approve it. But he has all the information, everything from what we want. We've given him everything from repair work we've done there on water, sewer, and all that. So it's a 50-50 shot, but it's worth it, so we're gonna try.
that's to work down in the Jericho area.
Yeah, it may not be the area we desire for everybody, but we'll make it work with something.
If we can get help to improve any part of the system, it's
Yep.
good.
Added chemicals to all the stations, ran all the generators, plowed and shoveled stations, marked out numerous dig safes for National Grid on both sides. They seem to be getting to replace a lot of poles lately, so we're getting a lot of markouts there. They did get a call from Five Price Court about a meter base issue. I don't remember what the outcome of that was. Alarm call, Dudley Hill, and they marked out 51 Dudley Hill for Helgerson for a tie-in. Number 9 is the demo on the new camera. As I explained, we went ahead, we had the demo last week. It was a very impressive demonstration. Mike and Tim and I were very happy with the camera. Do you have this in your package? Did they
I
get
think that's the only copy.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
All right, the camera, right now, with what the sewer department is asking for, the listing price that we're gonna get, and this is gonna be including some lifting hooks, a special basket to lift up the device from the ground that was added to it, a special locator device that even helps the water department locate pipes underground, because it can attach on. It has a special, like a metal detector, I forget what they call it.
Okay, yep.
The locator, sorry, locator.
Yep.
So that they can actually trace the little camera into the pipe. If there's a blockage somewhere, or a stone or rock or
And they
something.
can find it above
We can
ground.
find it above ground and locate it, pinpoint and dig, which we did down by Dippin' Donuts one day. I says, get everything we need, because that's vital, is the locating device there. Along with the camera views, the way it's set up, all that, it's quite a tool. It's gonna offer a lot of good use. It's $75,362.86. I'm gonna recommend that that's the price we buy the unit for. It's under Sourcewell bidding agreements, so it's not, doesn't have to be quoted, or 3 bids that don't have to be sought. They're part of Sourcewell, we're part of Sourcewell. And that'll leave a bit of money left in the kitty to get future either special wheels or special attachments, or as we go down the line and use it,
Would be
something
at
else that we
77,
may
right?
need. 78.
78.
78,
okay.
until changing.
Okay,
The
we
only
got it in front
question
of us.
is the longevity, because I'm bringing up the first camera we had bought, and it seems like we had it 2 or 3 years, and it was outdated,
Yeah.
and we couldn't get parts for it. And
I see this happening all the time in our business, their business. It's a crapshoot. You just don't know.
I don't mind that it got outdated.
Yeah.
The concern is, if something happens,
Yeah.
we need to get it fixed. I want to know that that's possible.
From what Matt was saying at the demonstration, it's quite a top. It's the latest device that they have. It's probably going to change next year in some fashion and keep going.
But will it be, will the older stuff be supported?
We should be able to get parts for it in the future.
Be sure it's gonna be
And it's
supported.
going to do what we have to do for quite a long time to come.
Okay.
So I was pretty happy with it. Mike and Timmy were happy with it. We got to use it up at Eisenhower and the areas up there and see exactly how the camera worked, what the functions were, how it was able to go out and we tried to use our old locator that Louis had there, but it just didn't work with that. It was just too obsolete. So I opted to get the whole complete setup so that we in the water department can also use the locator to help us locate underground piping that we can't use our metal detector or anything like that for. So
Okay.
that's my recommendation to the board. I just would need a signature from the chairman on this agreement and some copies.
Well, that company, that's all they specialize in?
That's correct. Yep.
And where are they out of?
Whitman. They go all over the place. They've been at demonstrations everywhere. There's a lot of departments that are using this device out there right now, and they've had good luck with it. And we've used them before, so.
They've got the backup support at their shop and
Yeah.
everything?
The only thing I wasn't happy about was $1,000 training, a day of training. It is what it is, but like I said, I had this.
Spend $75,000.
I says, let's throw in some extra stuff for us if you're gonna charge us $1,000.
Like
for
going
that.
to the restaurant.
Yes,
Tips
exactly.
included.
Yeah,
That's the way it
exactly.
is.
So they were gonna throw in a couple little pole pullers and things like that, just $60 items or something like that, but it was something. But that was the only thing I was a little bit
Okay.
taken back by.
All
Especially for
right.
sale of a camera like that.
You wanna go with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His recommendation.
We,
They would need to vote.
we don't need, we've already
We already approved it.
approved all of.
Was that approved?
Yeah,
We approved all of that before it went to the town meeting.
We approved that.
Okay, I thought after the town meeting approves it, it gets approved by you guys. Okay.
We already did it.
Good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I thought.
Yeah, get it going. We've been
All right.
beating around the bush. The
Think we're
other
done.
thing we didn't cover was item 6, economic
Start
development.
Oh,
Committee.
yeah.
But that was all something you read about in the paper.
Yeah, that can, I do want to get on the record. Reading in the newspaper that someone from another board saying,
This is for you to look. The owner of.
I don't know that they've ever come and talked to us about it, asked us any questions about it, but just, come and talk to us if you want to, before going into the newspaper with it.
Well,
I talked to
and I-
him 10 years ago.
and I'll
Okay, yes.
add to that I guess I'm a little confused as he's saying we're getting our water from Webster.
Yeah, I mean, from
I mean-
Webster and Oxford, we don't and we can't, so.
That's
I think it's good when they
Just,
when they come up with different ideas and challenge, but
Now he's got his soil.
if they don't have the right
so he's not
information, then they're challenged. What happens is it goes out in public, people read it in the newspaper, accept it as fact,
The old man's
but it's
gone.
not, and then you have more issues because now you have to explain it to everybody. So I would agree with you, they should come before us,
That's way up here.
meet with us, understand what the issues are, and we'll work with them to resolve any issues that could be out there.
We'll give them the correct information.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally untrue. We do not get water, we never have gotten water from Webster. We are what we are. We're a small water system with 2 stations. We are having our problems now, so it's all nice with this big talk, but it's information that's way out there.
Can we
No,
ask
this
what
is what a
the
soil is.
executive session was gonna be about? Can we do that?
No, we can't talk
This is
about it in
what
open
a soil
session.
is.
Right.
I know, can we go into
Yeah,
executive
yeah.
session?
The water's down here
Yeah.
Well, we've got other,
before Mill Road?
Jay,
Mill Road's right there.
I also want to say one other thing. I know you guys know this, but George, I want to apologize. I get passionate about things.
No, I understand.
And I, especially when I brought up Louis Gribb and compared, and I didn't mean to do that, the way that it sounded, it's sometimes convincing my memory that it actually exists.
No,
So
I wish
know that
Louis
this-
was here, I mean, because he's
Yeah.
a wealth of information,
And-
there's no doubt about it, you know?
And so what I also want to say is that I didn't mean in any way to insult you.
No,
I
no.
think you've done an awesome job, especially stepping up to the plate for the town of Dudley through all the trials and tribulations with, the supervision aspect of and the management aspect of the water and sewer. So
thanks.
I just wanted to apologize for that, and I just want to get to the right solution, that's it. I don't mean it, all right?
Yep.
So,
Where?
This little parcel here that goes
So,
right to the
I mean,
closest part to the,
As far as I'm
Right,
concerned,
yeah.
It's just in here, right?
it's just print.
Okay.
They can talk,
Yeah.
you know, nothing's in front of us, so it's
Yeah,
just like,
okay.
you read it and you can form your own opinion.
yeah.
okay.
You can say,
I can go into executive just for discussion.
Do we need to go into executive session?
no, that was,
I
That doesn't
am
belong
still
on
working
there.
on that part of it. I mean, it's up to you if you want to go into it just for a discussion about it, but it's ongoing. I have a meeting tomorrow.
Do we want to go into it quick, just so we
we
can?
can't
Yeah.
because I don't have the correct language, we have to read a certain.
Yeah, I was
we
gonna
have
say,
to-
why don't you get the rest?
We
of
have
the
to have a
information?
correct language to,
To introduce
Yeah,
it.
to
it's
do,
entrance
uh,
into it.
before we
Yeah,
even go into
section
executive
something.
session.
All right.
Right.
So, we're not prepared for that.
It's
I- I-
ongoing,
All
and
right, no, that's-
I'm working on it.
One last thing before we adjourn, anything with the DPW,
Oh, yeah, that was that on it, yeah. if
March
anybody-
25th is the public hearing.
25th?
Yeah, well,
It's on the
the
agenda.
town is gonna, they're gonna have a vote at the town meeting, no? Laurie, am I
They
correct?
will.
Yes.
So
will
it's
eventually
public
go to
hearing
town
and then
meeting.
town meeting.
But there's a public hearing on the 25th. I don't know,
Can you post that as a meeting?
we can go to a public hearing as individual citizens, but yeah, probably be a good idea to post a meeting for
Yeah,
that
because if
night.
three of us are seen
just in
together
case.
talking,
Yep.
then it's a
Okay.
public hearing, you're in trouble. So we better post that date
I will.
as a
Yep.
water commissioners, water sewer
Scott, this is
meeting.
not a ballot vote. It's going to be a town meeting. Raise the hand or...
Oh, it'll have to go to town meeting, that's what I said.
Well, the thing is, this
Before
can
you-
fly in 50 people. 50 people that don't have water and sewer can pass this DPW.
Sure.
It only affects people negatively that are on water and sewer because the town wants the sewer department to pay 1/3 of the DPW guy's salary and the water department
Well-
to pay 1/3 and the taxpayer to pay 1/3. So someone like myself that has water, sewer and land, I'm paying 3 times.
Yeah, it's not just adding cost to the system.
You know what I mean?
That's for discussion during the public hearing.
Exactly.
So-
That's my defense.
I think we should
Well, they're
post the
still-
meeting, though.
they're-
Can we invite you want to invite the
They're
public
still,
to come?
well, this is a public hearing, it's
This
a
is
selectmen's public hearing.
so-
When is it?
I mean,
March
invite the water
25th.
sewer users to
March
come to
25th.
the...
They are
In this room?
taxpayers,
I don't know, I don't
they're
think
involved, they're
so.
already invited.
I think we should
Have it,
post
but
why
a
it's a public
sewer
hearing,
meeting,
It's gonna
though.
be selectmen's, I'm guessing we alone.
Okay.
I think you should have water sewer meeting just in case.
on
Yeah.
that day,
Yeah.
No,
we just-
need
we
to
just
get
said
the
that.
laundry
But I
out.
thought someone said you don't have to.
Yeah, no, we should post a,
Yeah, we'll post that,
I'll
post that
post it.
as a meeting that night. All right. That we discussed, anything else?
I don't think there was anything else.
Motion to adjourn, someone?
Motion to adjourn.
And second, all those, second, it's been seconded, all those in favor?
I.
Aye.
So,
You get all this, Lori?